Everyone, still concerning news about this virus. Here we go. The Toronto Sun first. This is from yesterday evening at 8:11 p.m. And then the next article I'm going to read is from this morning. Okay, here we go. Toronto Sun. Warmington, no medical screenings for arrivals from 3 China flights. Just like that, more than 1,000 people on 3 flights from China walked into Canada without medical screenings. If the coronavirus happens to be incubating in any one of those passengers who arrived at Pearson International Airport's Terminal 3 on Monday, they are now mingling with Canadian residents. Quote, I was asked when we got to the Canadian Customs inspection point if I had been in Wuhan in the last 14 days or if I had a fever, said Jerry, who with his wife traveled from Shanghai. I said no. That one-word answer got him through. First stop before heading home to Oakville was a place to eat. After 14 hours in the air without a bite, they were famished. I didn't eat for the whole flight, said Jerry's wife, T. I kept my mask on the whole time. Many passengers said they didn't want to take a chance of exposing their mouths to the virus. Passengers talked of hearing about sick people in China who had perished at the hands of the coronavirus, but were oblivious to reports that up to 19 in Ontario may have been exposed. The big question, was anybody on these flights a carrier? All nice people, many visiting, many residents, but Canada is taking a big gamble. Those coming from China reported they did not see doctors, nurses, or undergo any medical screening upon their arrival at Pearson. Their entry is, in essence, based on a wing and a prayer. It is scary, said Maggie Tu, who came to Toronto for the first time to visit a friend. Tu wore a mask the whole time, but with a virus incubation period of up to 10 days, she said that it's something on one's mind. I was nowhere near Wuhan, but I guess you never know. That virus can spread, she said. All passengers said they had their temperature taken upon boarding in China. The people who serve airline passengers were also taking precautions. On these flights, even the pilots and the flight attendants were donning masks. Coronavirus control at airports is pretty much a leap of faith. There's no lie detector test or questioning designed to ensure people are telling the truth. Thousands have been given entry based on the honor system. And I'm just going to scroll down here. Fast food and restaurant workers at Pearson were also expressing concern since they have constant interaction with passengers. We can't exactly wear a mask in the hospitality industry, so we run the risk of being exposed, said one waiter. We know it's a difficult situation, but the authorities are tougher on people trying to park out front than they are on people coming in from where the coronavirus originates. Interesting, right? And here's the City News Toronto. Hong Kong's leader has announced that all rail links to mainland China will be cut starting Friday as fears grow about the spread of the new virus. So you'll note that the first place that passengers went after they got off the flight was fast food or somewhere to eat, right? And I just wanted to note at the end of this article that the fast food people, the people who are directly interacting with passengers, aren't taking precautions. They're not being told to take precautions. In fact, they're saying we can't, and we know we run a risk, right? That's incredible. And Hong Kong is worried about the spread of the virus, and so they're quarantining more than the population of Canada is in quarantine right now, right? So what does that say to you? That says, it spreads. In this article, they say that it's not a very good human-to-human spreading virus, which I think is strange because it seems like the evidence contradicts that statement, but I don't know, right? I'm not a virologist. I don't know how these things work, but it seems like quarantining 50 million, and there was the first reported death in Beijing. It seems like this thing can spread. It doesn't seem like it's having a hard time spreading human to human, but that's just my opinion based on what I'm reading. So I'm wondering why Canada hasn't taken the action that Hong Kong has, right? I don't know. It just makes sense to me. Anyway, City News is reporting. Hong Kong halts trains from mainland China as virus spreads. Hong Kong said Tuesday it will cut all rail links to mainland China as the United States and other governments prepare to evacuate citizens from the Chinese city at the center of a virus outbreak that has now killed more than 100 people. Wearing a green surgical mask, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam told a news conference that both the high-speed and regular train stations connected to the mainland would be closed. She stopped short of a total closing of the border as North Korea and Mongolia have done, but said that flights from the mainland would be reduced. Okay, so North Korea and Mongolia have closed their border with China. Hong Kong has reduced travel from mainland China and cut the rail links, made it very difficult to travel in and out. And Canada's still allowing flights up till yesterday anyway. We were. Wow, right? Back to the article. China's death toll from the new viral disease rose to 106, including the first death in Beijing, the Chinese capital, and 24 others in Hubei province, where the first illnesses were detected in December. The U.S. consulate in the central Chinese city of Wuhan, where authorities cut off most access January 22nd in an effort to contain the disease, was preparing to fly its diplomats and some other Americans out of the city on Wednesday. Japan and South Korea said they would send planes to Wuhan this week to evacuate their citizens. France, Mongolia, and other governments also planned evacuations. U.S. health officials expanded their recommendations for people to avoid non-essential travel to any part of China rather than just Wuhan and other areas most affected by the outbreak. China's increasingly drastic containment effort began with the suspension of plane, train, and bus links to Wuhan, a city of 11 million people. That lockdown has expanded to 17 cities with more than 50 million people and the most far-reaching disease control measures ever imposed. There were 1,771 new cases confirmed in China on Monday, raising the national total to 4,515, according to the National Health Commission. It said 976 people were in serious condition. The government has sent 6,000 extra medical workers to Wuhan from across China, including 1,800 who are due to arrive Tuesday, a commission official, Jiao Yahui, sorry if I've got that wrong, said in a news conference. In Beijing, residents of two villages in the capital of eastern Pinggu district were refusing to allow outsiders to enter in an effort to avoid the virus. The village has been locked down. A member of the Bitchute village committee who would only give his surname, Gao, said by telephone. He said villagers are allowed to go out to buy daily necessities. Another village, Jingjoy, I don't know if I've got that right, I probably don't, imposed similar restrictions, said a member of the local committee who wouldn't give his name. The Education Ministry canceled English proficiency and other tests for students to apply to foreign universities. The ministry said new semester for public schools and universities following Lunar New Year was postponed until further notice. Hong Kong announced postal service and most government offices would stay closed through at least next week. The Education Department said schools would reopen February 17th. Chinese financial markets were closed for the holiday, but stock indexes in Tokyo, Seoul, and Sydney all declined. Beijing's official response has vastly improved since the 2002-2003 SARS outbreak, which also originated in China, but fears of a global contagion are not put to bed, said Vishnu Varathan at Mizo Bank in Singapore. Airlines, resorts, and other companies that rely on travel and tourism suffered steep losses. Prices of gold and bonds rose as traders moved money into safe haven holdings. The Shanghai Stock Exchange, one of the world's busiest, announced it was postponing the resumption of trading after the holiday by 3 days to Monday. Scientists are concerned about the new virus because it is closely related to other diseases, including SARS, which killed nearly 800 people. So far, the new coronavirus doesn't seem to spread as easily among people as SARS or influenza. Most of the cases that spread between people were of family members and health workers who had contact with patients. That suggests the new virus isn't well adapted to infect people. China has reported 8 cases in Hong Kong and 5 in Macau, and more than 45 cases have been confirmed elsewhere in the world. Almost all involve mainland Chinese tourists or people who visited Wuhan. Germany confirmed its first case late Monday. Infections have also been confirmed in the United States, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Nepal, France, Canada, Austria, and Sri Lanka. The 5 American cases, 2 in Southern California and 1 in Washington State, Chicago, and Arizona, are people who had recently arrived from central China. Health officials say they had no evidence the virus was spreading in the United States, and they believe the risk to Americans remains low. During the SARS outbreak, Chinese authorities were criticized for reacting slowly and failing to disclose information. The government has responded more aggressively to the latest outbreak. Wuhan is building 2 hospitals, one with 1,500 beds and another with 1,000 beds for the growing number of patients. The first is to be finished next week. They're building a hospital in 5 days, or 6 days, or something like that. They're building massive hospitals in a few days. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't this contradict what they're saying here? If this virus wasn't spreading well between people, why are they building hospitals? 2 of them in 5 days. It's 2,500 new beds. What? And just to give you an idea of where we're at before this virus was confirmed in Canada, here's a January 22nd, Brampton City Council declares healthcare emergency, calls for more funding. Weird, right? Isn't that strange? So on one side, they're saying, don't worry, everybody, it's probably not very contagious. And on the other side, they're building 2 hospitals. Sometimes when your actions say one thing, I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. So this is a practice speech for me. Sometimes when your actions say one thing and your words say another, your actions are more important. Right? Moving on. This just made me laugh. This is just going to be a headline because, wow, how tone deaf and out of touch can you get? Coronavirus concerns in Toronto are leading to racism against the Chinese community, Blog TO says. Really? Coronavirus concerns are leading to racism against the Chinese community. I'm not going to read this. This is unbelievable. And wow, right? And so moving into, I've got time. Okay, I was going to split this into 2 videos. I'm not going to split this into 2 videos because I just don't have time right now. But I used to work in education. I've worked in classrooms that look exactly like this. In fact, I would hazard to bet that I've been in this classroom for training specifically. And this classroom is a destroyed classroom. I'll read the tweet here. It says, or the Facebook message. It says, "Why are we striking? Lisi and Ford have you believing that all we want is a pay increase. These are photos of my kindergarten classroom today. This destruction was created by one of my 5-year-old students who lost control. This is pretty much a daily occurrence. My class was evacuated because materials were being thrown at classmates and teachers. Violence in classrooms is real." And here's the thing. Getting fewer students in the classroom is not going to prevent one of the students losing control. You have to remove students who don't have the capacity or ability to participate in the classroom, right? What's happening is we have these inclusion laws, and it says that even kids who do stuff like this have a right to be in the classroom. And unfortunately, education doesn't work that way. Can you imagine going to work every day and having a guy who just destroys his desk all the time, just screams and picks up the desk and goes, "Ah!" and just yells around, runs around and the whole thing, and you have to sit there and do your work and pretend that you feel safe? I got to wear armor. I got to wear like padded armor and spit shields going into classrooms where they knew a kid was violent. And the other kids didn't get those things, right? Kids didn't get those things. Parents didn't even get told that there was a kid in class who was throwing desks or chairs and who was targeting other children, right? And it's unbelievable because those are our safety laws. And the thing is, or privacy laws, right? And the problem is, having fewer children in the classroom isn't going to fix the problem of violence in the classroom. Violence in the classroom is happening because you have children are being put into a situation where they are not able to be successful, regardless of their IEP, and they're expected to keep up with the class. And usually the class has been slowed down to deal with them, but the kids are not usually satisfied with that because it's a lot more fun to be disruptive and blah, blah, blah. And you've got some teachers who can handle it, some teachers who can refocus. But a lot of the time, you just lose your battle, right? You just lose. The kids have to be evacuated when this stuff happens. That's disrupting an entire group of children, 20 kids, 23 kids, however many it is. They have to leave when a kid does this. And instead of meeting the kid where they are, right, and teaching them how to socialize and be socialized in class and how to deal with extreme emotions instead of destroying something like the classroom, they need to have those skills before they can join a classroom and be expected to participate. Because until they have those skills, this is what happens when they run into a problem. And school is full of problems. And if you refuse to actually teach a kid how to deal with problems, solve problems, then this is what happens. Striking is not going to fix that problem. It's just not. It's just not. The system changed fundamentally in the early 2000s. Prior to that, this was unacceptable in a classroom. And there were different classrooms to get you up to speed on how to behave in school. Yeah. There are solutions to this problem, but nobody's talking about them. And I'm sick and tired of people who don't know what they're talking about or who don't even understand what the problem is diatribing on social media. Yeah, you strike because of the kids. Bull. Absolutely bullshit. You're being manipulated by your union. Ugh. And the last bit of political news, power in politics. The new NAFTA, the USMCA, is being ratified by Trump's favorite negotiator, our new deputy prime minister, Freeland. And well, here it is, 30 seconds, and this will play us out. Here we go.
This can only be a done deal when it is ratified by this House. As Canadians well understand, our government is in a minority in this Parliament, and this deal can only be ratified if it receives the support of members of Parliament on the other side of the House. I strongly believe, I am 100% confident, this is a deal worthy of that support, and that is the case that we will be making, our government will be making in this House and with Canadians.
Wasn't that an excruciatingly long 36 seconds? Oh my God. Oh my God. And the way she's talking down to people is just maddening. It's even more maddening now than it was last year. Where's her red dress? That's it for me today, everyone. Thanks for watching. This stuff is concerning. I don't know what's true and what's not true. I'm just trying to tell you what they're printing and where Canada's at. And just, it's unbelievable what distracts, right? It's unbelievable what takes away from what could be happening. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Check out CanadaPoly.com and CanadaReport.co and have a wonderful, wonderful